Welcome to Monday Night Therapy. I thought that woman, that woman just walking through the wheat field with her hands in the wheat is, it's just kind of sexy. So I thought I'd loop it.
With their hands on the cobs?
Yeah, they're on the cob. That's wheat, for God's sakes.
Yeah, whatever. There's a lot of corn there at the end. She's got a cute arm.
What? That's... She's got a cute arm. Todd is not with me tonight because he's a traitorous bastard. So Andy has showed up and he's not actually even wearing Georgia gear because
I remembered.
Yeah, Georgia. He's actually wearing a Corn Nation shirt. I have to put the banner up. Oh, look, there you go. There's the banner. You can go get merch, and there's a special code for 10% off until Thursday. We have comments coming in. Wade Farr starts out with, as Dr. Sanguinaria of Creature Feature used to say at the beginning of his show on Saturday night, "Good evening, boys and ghouls." Do you remember Dr. Sanguinary?
All too well.
Do you?
I don't think I ever watched one beginning to end because those are some pretty bad movies, but I did watch the beginning of it a lot. That guy is quite the character. More power to him.
Well, what do we know? Where do we want to start? What do you want to talk about? What's going on? What's happening? Do you want me to go?
Why don't you start? I'll
Did
play
you watch a lot? Did you watch a lot of football this weekend?
I did. It was a good time. Mostly during I probably started about 1:30, went till about 7 or 8. But should we talk about Friday night just because we hate Colorado and that literally put a smile on me throughout the entire weekend? Yeah, just acting the way they do, to watch them blow a game like that after going overtime with a 1-4 team the week before,
right?
Then blowing a 29-0 halftime lead to a 1-4 team. You shouldn't be happy because of the pain of others, but God damn it, when it comes to college football, I've made a cottage industry out of it. And that game just made me very, very happy.
I was gonna stay up Friday night, and I looked at that and I thought, I'm not gonna do this. I mean, Colorado should beat the hell out of Stanford. They're a really crappy team. They're not good. Stanford is not putting any emphasis on football whatsoever. That they joined the ACC was to be honest with you, I was shocked by that the ACC reached out and took Stanford and Cal, and they, because they're good at Olympic sports. They love their Olympic sports. Football, they're like, they're too good for it, So then I woke up in the morning, and I usually, when I get up in the morning, I grab my phone and I check my email and I check my texts, because my clients will text me at 6 a.m. that something's exploded. And for some reason, I saw that score and I'm like, that can't be real. And then it was so fun. God, it was fun.
And it was mainly, they just mainly got destroyed by one guy who almost had a Troy Edwards, Louisiana Tech type performance against us. I can't remember his name, but I think he ended up with 13 catches for about 294, 95 yards. And usually with Travis Hunter covering him. And I was like, there's some fine coaching. I don't care. I don't know if it was Dion to blame or the coordinators, but in a game like that, you just can't have somebody take probably 90, 100 snaps, especially after being out for several weeks. And because I almost felt bad for him because he was so gassed in the fourth quarter. Of course, then after a little shoving match, he slugged the guy. So I didn't feel that sorry for him. I thought the real pain there was, though, he thought when he did that, he probably thought that guy's going down in a heap and it'll be totally worth it. And the guy just snapped right back and got a big smile and pointed at the flag on the field.
That was beautiful. I did an earlier video today on the dumbest play of the week, and that's the play I picked. Linda Wilkins says, "Good evening, John and Andy. John, you should not be so happy about Colorado play against Stanford, although it was a stupid play on Hunter's part. Why shouldn't I be happy about this, Linda?"
Absolutely no reason not to be happy. I hate disagreeing with Linda, but I mean, this is a team I've despised for decades, and they've just come back strong like they were in the old McCartney days, and just brings all the old feelings back. I didn't really get that jazzed up about the Colorados that Mel Tucker and whoever the next guy were rolling out there, but with them running around doing kind of the Miami, Colorado stuff from the 80s again, just makes it so easy to hate and just makes games like that fantastic.
It does. Uh, wait. Gosh dang it, I keep missing. Husker Jack says Colorado is regressing and I'm loving it. And I think that's the thing about it is since the beginning of this season, I made some posts on social media and got some flack backs from people about, "Oh, you're making fun of a team that beat you." Yeah, but
Yeah.
he
So
has the point right here. They are regressing. They're getting worse as the season goes on. And I'll just say this right up front when we start this. The Illinois game, I know there's a lot of people, there's a lot of people again on social media going, "You guys in Nebraska act like you beat Illinois and they're terrible and you think you're going to win the world." I think that the Illinois game, and I said it, I think in a previous show, I think the Illinois game will signify a turning point in Nebraska football and Matt Rhule's reign. Because of the way the defense played, because of that fourth, that goal line stand, and because of the way the defense just came out and said, we're in charge of everything from here on out. What do you think of that?
I I was on the opposite side of that feeling, so none of that was directed at me. I was actually catching some crap because I wasn't happier that we won, and it was like, well, it's not like I'm mad that we won, but our biggest issue, we'll dive into that right now, but our biggest issue is still alive and well, and we've got 3 games coming up. Well, call it what you will, the curse, the inability to win, not win one-score games, but just blast ourselves in the foot while other teams stand aside and wait for it and then take advantage. Fortunately, we had a 17-point lead going into the fourth quarter. But what did they do? Is went fumble, interception, fumble, took 3 penalties inside the 20, 2 of them inside the 10. Ben Scott, for some reason, chose the second time this year, that moment, like balls on the 5, time to just go dry gulch a guy. I don't know. Maybe there was a reason, but could you wait a couple plays? See, the refs aren't looking if you really want to do that. But we just keep finding ways to do it. Fortunately, I don't want to say their offense is horrible. It's not good, but our defense really stood up. They shut them down, got the ball back every time, gave up some yards on the final drive, but then that ate up the clock, so it was fine. But no, I wasn't happy after that game. And one thing I kind of took a little snipe in my column at is there's a lot of people writing, "Hey, you've just got to be happy about this one. You've just got to do it." And my thing was, "Hey, piss off. My feelings are mine. Don't tell me how to feel. I'm not telling you should be more pissed." I'm like, if you're happy, great. I'm not. Instead of saying you ought to be happy, say, "I'm really happy we won. It was good just to get a win." I'm not going to come at you for that, but making me feel like some kind of asshole because I wasn't happy. I got an issue with that.
I'll leave that alone for right now because there's bigger fish to fry. What else did you watch Saturday that stuck out in your head?
The game of the day, and it might be end up like game of the year, was that Washington-Oregon game.
Oh, that's true. Yeah,
that was just a fun game to watch. I was kind of pulling for Oregon, but no big reason or anything. I've just always kind of liked Oregon a little bit, but I wasn't mad that Washington won. That was just I don't know how to describe it. Just a damn fun game. It was like 2 super athletic teams, well coached. Actually played a little more D. I think people were thinking it'd be like 48-45 or something like that. And they actually did play some D against, 2 pretty explosive offenses. And it's kind of fun knowing, hey, I saw the game that might have won a guy a Heisman because Penix looked incredible. And a couple of us were joking, it's like, hey, why would you ever leave Indiana for Washington? Well, I don't know.
Right.
That, But no, that was the game that stuck out the most. And then playing on the next TV was just like an abomination. It should have been played in a blizzard in, Iowa City back in 1963. It was just, I don't know. Okay. I didn't come out of there thinking these were world-beating defenses. It's just you had one offense that was just unbelievably crappy. And then I think by the end of that game, both of them had lost their starting quarter. Well, McNamara was already out for Iowa, and now Mordecai's done. Everybody we're playing is also on second-string quarterbacks now.
Yeah, so Wisconsin, Iowa was just rough.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't fun to watch.
No. Wisconsin's offense really is struggling. I have a guy I work with at one of my customer sites who's a Wisconsin guy, and and I've always talked about Braylon Allen as being a really good back, and he's really pissed off at Braylon Allen because he fumbles at the wrong times, and he said he's really not that good. He's not as good as you think he is. So I took that to heart a little bit, but. Like Wade Farr says, Wisconsin quarterback out with a broken hand. Tanner Mordecai has had surgery and he'll be out for the immediate future. Nobody knows when he's going to return. Washington, Oregon are going to join the Big Ten next year.
Yeah. There's a couple more teams in front of us right away.
But, they also
I'm not joking. Yeah,
they have to join the Big Ten and they have to go to Ann Arbor in November.
Right.
They have to become part of the Big Ten's. I don't know. It's like joining the Big Ten is like going into a family and nobody tells you where all the skeletons are. Yeah. And you have to find them out yourself. And by the way, there's a reason nobody ever goes in that one room that's been locked for 138 years. Don't go in there. You know what I mean? That's the kind of family you're marrying into. And you're like, what the fuck is all this stuff about? And it has to affect them too, when they come in. So,
well, you say 138 years. It's like the last 10 or 12. I've used this line over again, but we're just, I don't know if there's a close second. We're the creepiest conference in the country. We're just perverts and weirdos and kill our players and abuse them in practice. And it's and racist, and it's just unbelievable. It's like I just remember it all goes back to when I finally blew up on it. Was when they tried to get a game against Tennessee Chattanooga, and you would have thought we got caught in the room with one of their daughters or something. And it was like, look, we just tried to play an extra game. Let's go down the list of what the rest of you do. And I won't do it here, but it's not good. It's not good at all. Hey, go Joe Paterno's statue.
111 Jimmy says, is there a right time to fumble? Yes, there is. When you're up by 30.
42-3.
Yeah, when you're up by 30, it's not your coach is going to get mad at you and go, what the hell are you doing? But that's the right time to not down by 5. It's that is bad time to fumble.
Or what? Up by 3 and early in the fourth quarter. That's a bad time.
Maryland got beat by Illinois on a last-second field goal. Yeah, I didn't either.
I was actually starting to believe that Maryland might take a hot, because they always start off hot, and then either go 5-7 or be 6-6 and make a bowl game. I like this coach. I was like, okay, I know their DNA says now you got to lose 5 out of 6, but God, the way they were playing and with I just call him Tua Jr. at quarterback. Like I said, I think Mike Locksley is the most underrated coach in the conference. I think he really is kind of building something there, and he's from there, so he may not be just inclined to run away as soon as they win 9 or 10 games or something like that. But Illinois, I actually want to watch that game and just see how the hell that happened.
I will say that Mike Locksley walked up and down that sideline like not like he didn't know where he was, but like he kept looking at his football team going, who the fuck are you guys? Just a little pain in his face. It was just like, oh my God, I felt sorry for him. And then Illinois wins and you're kind of like, fuck you guys in the East. Yeah. Big Ten West. Kiss our ass. Okay.
Well, and then you have Michigan State actually looking like they can play for like 3 quarters, and then blow it again, and then Rutgers, who everybody thought would probably win that game fairly easily, comes back and wins anyway. And you can, I guess, there's crappy weather and all that, but still, they're still the same teams just playing in crappy weather. I guess it can be an equalizer sometimes, but yeah, that's rough for Michigan State, because they were shitty before that coach got caught doing his weird shenanigans. So I don't think that made that big a difference.
Okay, we'll go some more comments early on. Roger Moore, no Todd, how much do we owe you? Hey, the super chats are open. Come on. Linda Wilkins comes back earlier. John, that is not what you do first thing in the morning. You're 6 61 years old, and we all know that it's not the first thing old men do in the morning. I have my phone with me. I can multitask.
I thought she was talking about something else, but we can
I
still do
don't
that.
care because it's my bathroom and it's filthy. All right. And I keep it filthy so nobody else goes in there. That's how this works. Cilantro says, John, when are you going to promote that Cilantro guy to full-time writer? You know, you do have to ask. That's the key here.
I think you just did.
Send me an email, thecornation@gmail.com. By the way, we need basketball writers. I would like to see us cover basketball, especially women's and men's. I'm excited about men's basketball. We're going to leave that alone for right now. Move on. Houston versus West Virginia. That game was wild. That was the one where, was it West Virginia that scored with 12 seconds left and then Houston scored right after that?
Yeah.
One of them.
Wasn't that the one they had like 42 points in the fourth quarter combined?
Yeah. Something like that. It was insane.
Nothing says like, let's score 42 in the fourth, like Houston versus West Virginia. I mean, that's 100% on brand for both those teams.
Mike Corrigan says Kalen DeBoer should have been our coach. There's always that coach envy going on. Husker Chuck says, John, would you take an 8-4 finish this season for Nebraska and a 4-8 Colorado season right now? Well, I'd take that in 3 weeks too. I'd take it now, tomorrow, the next day. I'd take it right up until like December. And then then you go into the bowl game and you go, I want to be 9-4 because I'm greedy. There you go. Yep. And then Colorado can stay home and watch us. Yeah.
Lose the rest.
Okay.
Yeah, two of their 3 wins, or two of their wins are against 1-4 teams. Another one's like a 2-4 team. And now they're out of that. I think there's one 500 team left and the rest of it's kind of the cream of the Pac-12.
Yeah. They're hurting.
Yeah.
It's too bad, really. It's sad.
Oh, it's awful.
Ted Hilker comes up with Iowa, Wisconsin. We kind of hit on that. Let's see what else I got up here. Notre Dame, USC. That was a fun game. I rooted for Notre Dame because, you know why? I was raised Catholic. And by God, I hate USC. I really do. I can't stand Lincoln Riley. And I'm not so sure about Caleb Williams either. Everybody keeps saying he's like a generational quarterback talent, and I am not sold on that. He is pretty damn good, but I mean, is he better than Trevor Lawrence?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, we'll see when he gets in the NFL, I guess. But we'll see. I can't stand Notre Dame. We won't go into all those reasons here. But I just love how that flipped everything in the rankings, because I've been saying it since before the Colorado game. USC's, they were acting like they were a playoff team. And I'm like, their defense is still trash. It's still hot garbage. They got exposed by Colorado, almost losing, that game in the second half, the same way Colorado did it last night. Well, then you look at Notre Dame, they got drilled by Louisville pretty good. So now, now with 2 losses, TV networks can't all scream to put them in with ones. So that made me happy. But in a way, I was kind of happy. It's like, of course, I want to see Notre Dame lose. But to see them just go in, which I kind of thought would happen, is just go in and destroy Southern Cal just because Southern Cal has no defense. Because Notre Dame's not an A-lister offense either. But
that's true.
Everybody can be against Southern Cal. So I'm kind of glad they've probably knocked Southern Cal out of that discussion for good. As much fun as maybe a national semifinal with that defense would be to watch. But so I wasn't completely destroyed by that.
Okay. Anything else from this weekend that stuck out?
Those were probably the big ones. I think we covered all the games that really meant anything to me, I guess.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Probably, I will say this. The other thing that sticks out for me this weekend is, my God, Kirk Cousins gets a lot of blame for the Minnesota Vikings fans.
He was actually having a pretty good year, but now you've just lost like the best receiver in football.
Right.
And now they're like, look at that game he had. Can't exactly plug, was it Addison or that Osborne? Can't really plug them in there and expect, 12 catches, 150 yards and 3 touchdowns out of those guys. Yeah, cut Kirk a little bit of a break there. It's kind of like everybody shits on Matt Rhule in the NFL, and it's like, what the hell? It's like, look who his quarterbacks were, and the fact that Christian McCaffrey missed over half the games he coached. And, tell me Bill Belichick could have won 5-6 games a year with that team. So yeah, it's the same thing.
We're gonna go on with Matt Rhule's press conference today, but first I'm gonna go with this. Terry Swanson says, I only watch these to see if John is still alive. How you doing, Terry? So you all know, Terry Swanson, I grew up with this man, and he tried to kill me more fucking times than any other human being alive, if I remember correctly. That's him. I remember one time he had like a Bronco, an old, what was the Ford Broncos, Dodge? It was Ford.
Yeah.
Bronco. What? Okay,
Ford,
I think it was a Bronco. Anyway, we all went out drinking. We live in Western Nebraska. We're driving around all day drinking. I'm all the way back in the tailgate. I think he pulled up on some street next to a friend of ours' house. The tailgate fell open. He hit the accelerator. I flew out the back. He hits it reverse and tries to come back and literally stops. And I look up, and the tire is, honest to God, it's like a volleyball that's kind of partially out. It's right over the top of my head, like 3 inches from my head.
You're
okay.
Just being tested.
Yeah, this guy tested me a lot. How you doing, Terry? Good to see you fucker. Okay. Colin J says, John, do you also pay this guy with cat turds like you do with Greg? Yes. Anybody that's a staff member gets paid with cat turds.
I got a special cat turd bag.
Fred Sacco says John pays him the same he pays everyone else, with contempt. The first time I think I met you, what did I say to you?
To me?
Yeah.
I don't know. I remember the first time we actually met in person. Oh, I pulled up outside. Was it that your like sister's $15 million cabin? And you're sitting there in your bare feet, at the end of this, long driveway by the mailbox, just out in the middle of bumfuck nowhere. And you just looked up at me, and we'd never met. What the hell was it? It was just something like, about time you found the place, asshole, or something like that.
I said fuckface.
Oh, fuckface. See,
I said hi, fuckface.
Yeah.
And then I think the first words I said to you was, well, you act like an asshole. Why don't you write like one too?
That was later on, and that was.
I said okay.
The exact quote is, "We need an asshole, Andy. I believe you are our asshole. Be our asshole." Well, I got hate mail and blasted on Facebook, and a couple other things in the last couple of weeks. So I must be doing something right.
Oh, look at this, Terry. Whoops, I missed it. Lonnie
what the hell was that
says,
before? What the hell was that before? Lost a few pounds and discovered just for men. Yeah, not enough.
Okay. Yeah. Lonnie Kittleman says, Terry, in relation to Shane, he means Shane Swanson. Shane Swanson played in Hershey.
Wingback.
Oh my God, it's like old Homes Week. Monica, I grew up
Christ.
with too. Terry is Shane's cousin. We all played against Shane when we were in high school. Once, just so you guys know that he blitzed on me. I was a guard, and he tried to jump over me, and I raised up and threw him up in the air, and I flipped him, and he had to go out for like that guy was a man when we were in 8th grade. I know you don't know Shane Swanson. He played for Nebraska. He was a wingback. My God, he was an athlete. Terry Swanson comes back with, it was a Bronco, and Dale wouldn't let me back over you.
What's going on right now? I feel like you should be in like some kitchen with aprons and oven mitts with sayings on them. You got to be shitting me. Are you wearing the same shirt?
Yeah, well, they are coordination shirts.
God damn.
Okay. Matt Rhule had a press conference today. Matt Rhule had a press conference today, and here's what came out of it. Heinrich Haarberg is named the starter. My hair's done doing something weird. Malachi Coleman will start against Northwestern. They have to get Billy Kemp IV the ball much more. They have to. Rahmir Johnson wants to come back for his 6th year.
And
Marcus Washington also wants to come back if possible. I think Rahmir Johnson. I think don't they need both those guys need medical red shirts or something, don't they? They don't just get to come back. They need waivers.
Well, I think Rahmir qualifies pretty easily, but isn't that kind of like the 4 games thing, or is it a 6 games thing? I can't remember.
It's a 4-game thing for red shirt.
Yeah, if it's a 4-game thing, it might be Rahmir in and Marcus out, because right now the NCAA seems to be taking the NCAA has taken L's at everything they've gone to court over for like the last 8 years now, whether it's the video games or the transfer portal or NIL, and it's really shitty. But it seems like what they're doing is just turning down every fucking request for an extra year or not have to sit out a year that they can right now. It's almost like they're just doing it out of spite. I look at it. It's like the first guy was a kid with a sick mom who wanted to transfer to Florida State. And I think from a place that wasn't that bad, like not looking for a huge move up, but that's where mom lived and he wanted to be closer. And they turned him down and he could actually prove, yeah, she's sick. And I'm like, well, if he's getting turned down, I have a feeling nobody's, Reed Gilbert, and go ahead and make your plans. I didn't mean make those plans, but it just looks like everybody's getting slapped left and right that's trying for a break. I hope that stops.
Sam Roberts gives us a super chat. Thank you, Sam.
Oh,
think he says, I think we have a 65% chance of winning the West. That's pretty high. Also, I told you that Avana would figure it out sooner or later. His last miss was on the snapper.
That's actually true. Yeah. Alvana was
65%.
Yeah, that's
65%. That is high. What has to happen? Do you know?
Me personally,
I think Iowa State has a 2-game lead on like everybody. Not us,
Iowa?
Maybe.
You mean
did
Iowa?
I say Iowa State?
You did.
Well, they're kind of the same mushy Iowegian thing.
I think there's a big difference between the two, actually, but just in general behavior. But I mean, here's my thing. It's like maybe you saw, the name I popped up for myself there, but I just, whether it was our chat room, the bars, whatever, everybody's like, well, I feel like we got the next 3, and then it's like, then all bets are off, and we can try to win 8 or 9. I'm like, what has, have you been watching what's been happening? It's like, it was like Mike Riley made losing his cultural frickin' directive. And then Frost came in and honed that to perfection by making losing 1-score games an absolute art form. And what you're trying to say is we can win 3 in a row. And are they winnable? Yeah. Northwestern just they barely beat Howard. But they're also the team that came back and beat Minnesota, who beat us. And there's Purdue. Doesn't look too good. But guess what Purdue did that we didn't? They put in Illinois away. We hang on 20-7. They go out and blast them 44-19. And Michigan State, that's one. It's like the way they're playing right now, man. If we find a way to lose that, but look at them. They go out and jump out to like a 24-7 lead on Rutgers before they came back. And it's just like, I'm going to be terrified if we find ourselves in a 1-score deal in the fourth quarter, simply because I don't believe we've won a single one of those things in a situation with bowl, trying to get bowl eligible. I guess the closest would come last year. We did beat Indiana. Rutgers. We beat them like 14-13. And technically then we were still kind of fighting for the bowl. And that was early on. But other than that, it's just, we're 6-25 since 2018 in those things. It's absolutely terrifying. I can't go, hey, we're going to win these next 3. I'm just going,
really?
Let us beat Northwestern. Then let's think about Purdue but it's tough because they're winnable. I get it.
that you know what? There is this thing where Matt Rhule did say he's focused on going 1-0 this week, which I think is a really good approach to things. I think that we should all take that approach and not look ahead, even though we want to. We have Northwestern this week, and we need to beat Northwestern and then go to whoever's after that. Who gives a shit? It's so far out in the distance.
We don't care. And I mean, honestly, that was kind of Osborne's thing too. It's like, hey, we don't have a tough game for another 5 weeks, and he would be, hey, I don't care if it's 2-7 Iowa State. You got a tough game this weekend. You play all the games the same, and it in the end it worked out for me. In a lot of those 9-2 years that it'd drive you nuts. That why can't we start working on Oklahoma 3 or 4 weeks before? But he was very much one game at a time, just one game at a time, and I'm glad to hear Coach Rhule doing that as well.
Benny says
Reimer
is healthy. Luke Reimer will be back and be playing against Northwestern this week. Let's see what else we got out this. Here's another key. Matt Rhule said, if I start talking about bowl games, I'm part of the problem.
Can I do it? Can I do it? Playoffs.
Go ahead.
Playoffs. Who said anything about playoffs? That's one of my favorite NFL clips of all time. Just playoffs.
He also said, look at Nebraska football over the past 8 to 10 years in the second half of the season. It's abysmal. Abysmal. Wow. This coach.
One score game abysmal.
This team needs to learn how to be the same team every week. As
long as that doesn't include last week on offense.
Let's see.
In the fourth quarter.
Malachi Coleman. Offensive line has gotten better and better, especially in pass protection.
I think so. We've still got some people griping the line's not any better, and I'm like, the line's better. It is. It hasn't made the jump to 95 Nebraska, but the rushing game has improved, and it seemed like the last couple of games Haarberg was getting a little more time. So the pass protection early was awful.
Let's see. Thought the O-line, the offensive line, paid too much attention to outside noise in the past. Probably me bitching about Bryce Benhart for like 2 years. They
take it to heart.
Yeah. Let's see. Sees the team making steps in preparation process in their practice. By the way, I'm getting these from the 247 Huskers Twitter account, who does a damn good job of summarizing Matt Rhule's press conferences. And if you on Twitter follow the 247 Huskers, there's a lot of good Husker follows. And then honestly on Twitter, there's a lot of guys that just seem to be wanting to poke people in the eyeball and just bring up anxiety points.
Yeah.
And, they're the guys that are constantly like, what a look ahead stuff. Do you do that, Andy?
No, I was saying I'm the one who constantly brings up the curse, and people think I'm just jabbing and we don't need to talk about it. And I'm like, no, I have the anxiety. This isn't me trying to make others anxious. This is just me projecting my own emotions on the whole thing. It's like, I'm still 100% all in, all that, all red, but I'm not going to do the blind hope. I've just got to go, this is a problem. And the killer thing about it is it should be an easily fixable problem. Hey, don't do stupid things inside the 20. I recognize that turnovers are going to happen, but they shouldn't happen 3 straight drives. They shouldn't happen at the worst time every time. So I think that goes a little beyond, I don't know if they need a therapist. I don't know if we need to do like Ted Lasso and start burning shit in a trash can to kill a ghost like they did in that show. I'm open to anything, but it's got to get fixed, because it's not a talent problem in those areas. It's head problems. It's like, hey, you're running with that football in this game you're leading with 9 minutes to go. Cover the damn points on the thing. Don't try to wing it around and throw it out here while ripping for that extra yard. It's like, drive those legs, but cover that damn ball. And I don't know. You can see I got a lot of problems. I got a lot of issues.
Oh my God, you've injured me, sir.
Didn't mean to kill you.
He did make the comment, Ed Foley wants to run a fake punt every week. I mean, what the hell? Why not? Why not?
If it's there.
Yeah. Rhule said he hates when the players engage with the crowd instead of focusing on the game. But if that gets them going, then coach will adapt. I'll be new school. How about that one?
Oh, I thought he said one thing too, and I don't know if it's a different thing or just a misreading, because the one I read said when they score, he wants the team celebrating with the team, not running up to pump the fans or try and high five fans and stuff. And that I kind of get. Now, if he's talking a separate thing where maybe they're doing it from the sideline, you know what? As long as they're focusing while they're on the field, I don't mind a little engagement to get the fans going. I don't mind that one bit, actually.
Okay. Well, let's take some of these comments. Cilantro says, who is winning Ohio State versus Penn State on October 21st? I know my choice.
I'm taking Ohio State.
Are you?
I think Penn State's very capable of beating them, but sometimes that DNA just kicks in. Where are they playing? I wish if I knew where they were playing and what time, because if you get them like at Penn State, in the middle, in a night game at Penn State, that could swing it a different direction. This Ohio State team may not be as calm and collected as previous teams, but until
they're
Penn State
shows
they can beat them regularly, I'm Ohio State.
They're Columbus.
Yeah.
I think Penn State is going to win this, and the reason why I say that is I think Penn State's defense is steadier than Ohio State. I think Ohio State just has some flaky problems. I think their quarterback has improved throughout the season, McCord, but I just feel like their defense has got some slight. I don't know. I feel like if those two teams, well, they're going to get together this. I was going to say if they're going to get together this weekend, and it's the game of the weekend because there are not a lot of very good games this weekend other than Nebraska versus Northwestern, the battle for NU. But those two teams are going to get together, and I feel like the one that's more mentally put together is going to win that game, and that's Penn State for me. Because if Ohio State goes into some of these games and they start mentally breaking down, and they've done that for a while, and I think that I would pick Penn State.
Yeah, I can't really argue with anything you just said there.
Tony Washland says, is the Iowa versus Minnesota over under 17.5 points? It's 32, I think.
Is
and
it?
32 is an incredibly low over under, when you come to betting. I don't bet on games. Do you bet on games?
I don't. I have lots of friends that do. I tried years ago and I just wasn't any good at it. So I didn't enjoy. Let's put it this way: some guys really enjoy that adrenaline rush of betting. I didn't. It's like when I lost, I wanted to just break all the furniture, and when I won, I wasn't ecstatic or happy. I was just relieved that I won, so that I didn't have to break all the furniture. So it just wasn't. But
I would take the under.
I love studying the numbers. I love doing all that. I love the how to watch article where I talk about it. And I got a buddy of mine who bets all the time. It got him to start, hey, pick out a couple of lines for our games. He's actually 5-1 right now doing that. He'll just pick out one or two particular bets he likes for the Husker game that day. And I think he went, his first losses, he went one and he picked out 2 for Illinois and went 1-1 because he thought it was going over. And he said the reason was that on short weeks that usually favors the over. But
what? Okay.
Yeah, because they had the short week they had the Friday game. And so that was the reason. So that's the only one he's gotten wrong this year so far. But no, I have a lot of fun with gambling and the statistics and the odds of all of it. I just don't like putting my money out there.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah. If it was fun, I'd do it.
At 32 points between Minnesota and Iowa, I'd take the under because
34.5 last week with Wisconsin, Iowa, and that was the lowest under over in D1 in 20 years, and now this one's coming in lower than that.
Linda Wilkins says, Andy, I must admit that it seems like an upward trend has been established with this appearance. Good work. Look at that.
Thank you, ma'am. Deep bow. I appreciate it.
Okay, Ryan Coles comes in and says, excuse me, we pretty much have to win out the rest of the season to win the West. Iowa's at 3-1 right now, and looking at the rest of their schedule, Minnesota and Nebraska are their only roadblocks. I got to feel like Minnesota isn't that much of a roadblock. But by God, we're going to win out. Okay, you think we can win out? Whether or not we're going to do it.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Winning out? I thought we just said we'd take it 1 week at a time.
Yeah, that was I couldn't be more sarcastic. Let's have the winning out discussion. It's like, let's have the beat Northwestern discussion, for God's sake. Yeah, here's my part of that discussion. I'm out. Like,
Cilantro, didn't Nate M say that on Corn Nation that Nebraska would find a way into the college football playoff? He might have said that. We say a lot of things on Corn Nation,
yeah.
And it's always up to you to figure out if we're like satire, parody, joking, or very, very serious.
Yeah.
And I prefer to keep it that way because, if I put it this way, if I was the manager of all of you people here, I would be one of those guys that was slightly flaky most of the time.
Slightly.
I guess because because I am flaky most of the time. But you'd never know what was going to happen next. You might think, oh, God, I'm only going to get a small bowl of cat turds. And then I give you like a bucket of cat turds. And you'd be like, oh, my God, this is so exciting.
Here's the thing. You just have to ask yourself, does McHugh drink like a person who thinks all the liquor is going to be gone the next week for the last several years? Or was he just pulling everybody's leg?
Oh my God!
I've met Nate. He seems like a pretty straight-laced guy, so I'm going to go with a pretty good sense of humor. So I would say, don't think he was expecting everybody to take that one seriously.
I didn't read all of this, but James Marshall usually has pretty good points. James Marshall says a lack of continuity killed Frost's tenure at Nebraska. So far, Rhule seems to know how to stir the pot, so to speak. That is, he doesn't sacrifice the defense in an attempt to make the offense look good. I'd agree with that.
Yeah.
I think they play complementary football where the two sides complement each other. One of them doesn't try to, like Frost's offense would have just scored in 7 seconds and said, well, the defense has the problem of stopping them now.
Right.
Whereas I think Matt Rhule looks at it and says, our offense isn't very good. Our defense is going to be on the field a lot. Therefore, our offense needs to run the ball, move the clock, pick up possessions, control the tempo, slow it down. He also did say during the press conference, one thing I forgot to mention, he said, we're not going to do tempo yet because we're not ready for that. And I think when you look at that, you look at him saying is the offense may not be the only ones ready for that. The defense might not be ready for that too. So, they are everything as a whole instead of like instead of individual pieces. And I kind of like that about him.
Well, I had a couple of thoughts here. One thing I've been reading from the reporters who covered Rhule's press conferences is they say this is really enjoyable because they said he actually gives us good stuff. He's not out there like say with contempt with Pelini and Frost, or just sitting there trying to 100% that we're going 100% their way through all the questions. Because they said, hey, there was one I remember last week where they knew they were only getting him for a short time, but he said, I can't remember who it was, said they were talking among themselves. They said, but the thing about Matt Rhule is we're still going to get good stuff and some good honest answers out of him. So that's I don't know what that matters in the grand scheme of things, but all of a sudden you have a guy who doesn't have like a contentious relationship with the press. And in Riley's case, it's like he had a nice relationship. He didn't tell him anything. I don't know if he had anything to tell him, to be honest, but it's kind of, but no, that's kind of nice. The other thing I was going to say was with the offense, it's like, hey, we're not ready for tempo. Well, because you have some people already go, I'm ready. Let's get rid of Haarberg and start Sims again. And I'm like, literally, he got completely ignored by last year's staff. The year before, I think you had Verduzco teaching him how to throw sidearm. This is the first time he's actually been, coached coached and paid attention to as a quarterback. And okay, so you got a guy who's like 6'5", I don't know, to me he looks like 225, 230 now. That he is not a skinny kid anymore. As Rhule said, one of the fastest guys on the team, and I think they had him clocked up close to like 20 miles an hour on one of his touchdowns. Maybe it's against Illinois or La Tech, but has high end speed, high jump 6'7" in high school. They said he has by far the strongest arm on the team. Maybe we want to spend a little time developing a guy like that, not throwing the towel. He seems to get a little better each week. He's obviously got a lot to improve on, but some of the things he's done are kind of amazing. It's like there's potential here. I remember right after he signed with us, there was supposedly a rumor that Nick Saban had wanted him to take a visit. He hadn't offered him, but wanted him to take a visit. It's like, God, it's like, if that's even true, because the guy just probably saw, look at the, like Rhule, look at the track numbers. Let me take a look at this 6'5" kid who can do this. Yeah, why don't we stick with him for, a few games, see what happens.
All right. Ted Hilker comes in and says, I think the option would be more effective if they committed to it more and used the fullback. What do you think of that? I know my thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, I don't know if the thing is that they're not committing to the option enough. It's just Haarberg's been keeping it 90% of the time. And because I remember when I was doing my notes for the recap and he actually hit Grant with a pitch and Grant made a nice run, I typed like in all caps, he pitched the ball. And to me, that was something. So I think it seems like they're including it a lot. It's just Haarberg's option is Haarberg a lot of the time still. Like he almost doesn't want to mess up the pitch. It's kind of like when he at times it looks like he's almost throwing it away too much. Somebody would have been open, but I like the thinking. It's like, hey, learn your stuff, but don't lose games by forcing stuff in too often while you're doing that, which he still does here and there. But I feel like he could be doing it a lot more. He could be forcing things a lot more. But no, yeah, I think we're seeing a decent option now. I'll let you take fullback because I'm not sure. I don't think you throw fullback in there in the option in the middle of the season.
Okay, here's the thing. Here's the thing with using the fullback. First of all, you're going to bring a fullback. He's going to be in here, in between, the line, in that space, instead of spreading guys out. And when you spread guys out, you force the defense to spread out because they have to cover the guys you're putting out there. And bringing everybody in and bringing a fullback in does not mean the blocking is going to be better. In fact, in this case, because our offensive line is not going to be better, they don't get off the ball that fast. They've gotten better, but they're not a really physical offensive line. All you're going to do is clog up the middle. Instead of spreading a guy out and taking a defensive player out with him, but you want a guy away from the play that you're going to run. The other problem with this is Marcus Satterfield did know the option when he came in here, and he's learning it from Ron Brown. So when you add the triple option in there, that is a hell of a lot more complex that you're asking guys to learn on the fly in the middle of the season because you suddenly said, holy shit, our starting quarterback is injured and he hasn't played that well, and we have to come up with something, and you want to run this complexity that we have to put in right in the middle of a season and I don't even know it that well, me being Marcus Satterfield. The next problem with that is this. Running the triple option to perfection requires incredible timing. How many quarterbacks did Tom Osborne have before he really got, the 90s going? I mean, how many quarterbacks did we hate at Nebraska? Mark Maurer comes to mind, that all my friends made fun of Mark Maurer. The guys that couldn't get the timing down, or guys that couldn't run the option as well as like Tommy Frazier. So, it's not an answer. The last problem I'll bring up with the triple option or using that kind of offense is this. Who runs it?
Academy.
I mean, literally. Yeah, you're thinking about at the division level.
Yeah.
What high schools run the triple option? What high schools in Nebraska? What high schools across the nation run that offense? Any?
I bet there's a few out there, but not many. The great majority doesn't.
So you have to pull guys into your program, and then you have to teach them, which quite frankly is an antiquated offense that nobody runs.
Yeah.
And most of these guys, if you're going to get the best players, they're going to look at this and they're going to go, I want to go to the NFL. There's never going to be a triple option in the NFL.
Right.
I like the fact that they're running an option. I think it's a very good option for the offense, but using going back to the triple option, it's not going to work for this staff or this set of these teams.
I can speak a little from experience there because when I was in high school, I was a quarterback and receiver, and after I think it was about 3 games, the coach came to me and said, well, we really don't have a backup quarterback option here yet. So would you mind being our backup quarterback? So what I did was come in and meet him in the gym at like 6:15 every morning till school started. and me, and then one other kid who came in just to be, be the third man. All we did was work on my footwork, and then how to do it, reading the defensive end on whether you hand it off to the fullback, and then reading the defensive end on whether or not to pitch, and like just the body language to look for him. And I did that for about 3 weeks, of this, just dragging myself, out of bed at 5 to do that in the morning for an hour and a half or so, then practice, then have our regular practice later where I'd get some snaps. And I can tell you, it's not something you walk into and it's like, oh, click, light goes on, because you have to do it where it's like anything else in sports. You have to do it until you don't have to think about it anymore. And I don't know if I reached that spot at all that season. I just got to where I could run it and not screw it up too bad. And since I was a good runner and had a rag arm, it was perfect for me. But yeah, it's not an easy thing. Those are good points you made. Don't tell anyone I said that.
Okay. Guys are bringing up, okay, Wolf Arrow brought up Army and Navy run the triple option. Yes, they do. And they do it very well, but they do it, an Air Force. And they do that because they're kind of forced to, because of the structure of their team. This other thing is that's what they do all the freaking time. Do they win championships? No, they don't win championships.
I don't think that's the triple option stopping them. They've got
right.
The talent, just that damn triple option. It's because they got little military guys.
Oh my God. Okay, I have to go through some of these. Okay. Jason Reese says John has a cat turd hunting simulator. How did you know?
It's called his foot. Another one.
Lloyd Christmas says, Lloyd Christmas says, John, do you know why Colorado lost? Because of Crama. That's why. Go Big Red. And then he said, also, John, I'm worried that we will win the West. Your thoughts? I hate to get killed again, man. You know what? You know what would be a really good measure of this team? A really good measure of this team would be to play Michigan again in the Big Ten title game. Because they played us before. We didn't play well. We didn't play with a lot of energy. And it would be, you know what? It would be interesting to see how far we've come if we would win the West and play them again. What? It's Christ. I wonder what you were doing. Are you okay over there? Okay, I'm moving on to the next subject.
John, is that you? John?
Wait, but
John. Are we done?
Wade Farr says, smash the like button. Please smash the like button on YouTube so that the YouTube algorithm likes us more. Fred Sacco says, John will mail Andy enough cat turds to spell out Go Big Red on his wall. What do you think of that? Would you like that many cat turds?
I was, if I ever get more than like an hour notice, I might decorate the wall with something, or find a different place to do it with stuff around. But yeah, I found 2 hats, live with it.
Okay, Linda Wilkins says, hey, John, what are your thoughts on a Nebraska versus Wisconsin volleyball game on Saturday? My thoughts are that we will have Beth and probably Miley, two of our volleyball writers on, and it's looking like Thursday night. I don't know if we're going to do that in place of the Five Heart podcast or with the Fart, but they're both going to come. We're going to have a volleyball show. Wednesday, I will be doing a live show with a Northwestern guy at 7 p.m. But we will be talking about volleyball. Roger Moore says, God runs the option. That's a nice, I like that.
There's a t-shirt.
Yeah, it is. I don't know if I could use runs on a t-shirt though. That is a trademark. And
what the shit is this?
Lonnie Kittleman says, bring back the Yale breast. I don't know what the Yale breast is.
I'll Google it.
I mean, I've read a lot of old offensive stuff, and I need to get back to making some history videos.
Yale breast.
And then Highlander Gun brings up this shit. Tell everybody about the $100 you raised for charity Thursday night, John. Okay, what happened last Thursday night? is that somebody made a comment about the movie Young Guns. And I commented, I hate the movie Young Guns with a passion. And then Greg flippantly asks me, how much would it cost for people to have you watch the movie Young Guns online and react to it? And I flippantly responded, $100. And then some fucker named Marcus comes in and gives us $100. So listen, I know you guys want to do this thing where I watch Young Guns and react to it. But here's the thing. I don't know how to do this online. I really don't.
Figure it out.
Yeah, I know. Figure it out. I got so
Start
much
doing that
shit
with
to
the
figure
sports
out. There's
movie.
a long list. The other problem is like my video I did earlier today got demonetized because of a copyright problem. And I'd like to figure out, we'll figure it out somehow, but don't be planning on it like in the next 2 weeks.
John, this is the kind of thing we can do. You know about me and movies, man. We can do, instead of Mystery Science Theater 3000, we can do Sports Movie Theater 3000, Young Guns, Westerns 3000. Oh, man. There's a whole hold open here. Let's do it.
Lonnie Killman comes back and says Beast.
Yale Beast. That makes sense. I Googled Yale breast and all I got was a bunch of Yale Med Center stuff with oncologists and breast surgeons and shit. In a weird way, it made me feel creepy. So now let's try Yale Beast. I don't think Yale Beast won't freak me out.
John, how do you think Nebraska matches up against Iowa and Wisconsin? We should talk about Northwestern. Iowa and Wisconsin are ways out in the distance. I'll real quickly say, both those games are going to be about us taking care of the ball. The entire rest of the season, I think, is going to be about us taking care of the ball. Iowa wins games by scoring no points whatsoever. They had one long run against Wisconsin, an 82-yard run.
Shit for a minute. The Yale Beast is like some horned antelope-looking thing.
What?
There's Yale Beast mythology. Let me see if I can get one.
What?
That's one example of the Yale Beast. It's a thing. I typed in Yale Beast, and the first selection was Yale Beast mythology. I didn't read anything. I just saw pictures of like an angry antelope. Whatever the hell that
I
is.
did not know this.
I'd rather talk about that than our opponents 4 or 5 games down the fucking road. Northwestern is our only game left on the schedule.
Minnie says Emilio. You guys. Terry Swanson says, do not Google Yale breast. Terry has his safe filter turned off on Google. That's the problem there.
At least I didn't do images.
Wade Farr says, do the Young Guns thing at midnight while I'm out, please. Wade, you don't have to show up, and it'll be a separate show from our regular show because we're not doing it during a regular show.
Monday night Young Guns therapy.
Linda Wilkins says, good night, John and Andy. Great show tonight, Andy. Thanks for stepping in and filling in for Todd.
Anytime.
Fred Sacco says, that looks like some weird secret society shit. The Yale Beast thing. It does. It looks like
100%.
Some kind of weird fucking handshake you do.
He's not wrong. Well, it's better than what Northwestern does for their secret society shit.
Is there anything else we need to cover? We usually do an hour.
Yeah. I think we got it. I don't know. Go Big Red, man. Beat Northwestern. I don't care what we're favored by. Just win that fucking game.
Wade Farr says your hour is up. New co-host. Wow, Wade, my God.
Good night. Bye-bye.
We didn't even talk about Northwestern, but like I said, Wednesday I'll be talking to a Northwestern guy, and we will be talking about all the Northwestern stuff, like what the hell is going on there. They are 3. You know what? They are 3-3, and I think that is shocking in itself that they've won. I
thought Howard was their only win. On the schedule this year, but they have the entire team of creeps and coaches there, so it's not like they had a talent drop off. Well, from one win.
Let's see. Carl Sykes says Nebraska 17, Northwestern 20. Carl. You are
Well, at
not.
least
You're not. You're either being a troll or you don't feel the
hey,
the
at least he did it with lowercase
positivity.
letters.
Yeah, the positivity that's going on right now. By the way, by the way, when was the last time that Nebraska won 2 Big 10 games in a season?
In a season or in a row?
Yes, in a season.
Last year?
Was it?
Yeah, they beat Iowa and they beat Indiana and they beat Rutgers. They
Okay.
won 3.
Oh my God. Okay, then it's in a row.
That's probably tougher.
I think it's
Well,
2019.
that might be right. Because I think somebody might have said that after the Illinois game that it's been that long since we won back to back. 13 and a half is the one I saw today.
Yeah, it started at 11 and a half and it's already moved to
Oh,
13 and a half. Justin
yeah,
Rogge comes back with 15. Jason Reeves comes back with 2017. God, we have been an awful football program for a while, and that's the honest to God truth. Shay Blatarski says 2016.
can I have to
I
just
mean,
2018 then?
I don't think it even matters because that's how bad we've been. And now I think that things are looking up. By the way, one of the other things that we did not cover this weekend, that happened this weekend, is top recruit Carter Nelson went to the Notre Dame game.
Yep.
And people shit themselves on Twitter for a little bit because Gardner Nelson is going to Notre Dame because nobody would want to come to Nebraska. We can't win games. And then Carter Nelson's dad today came out and said he's still committed to Nebraska, for God's sakes. Knock it off. And then who was the other guy? Grant Bricks.
Oh, Bricks, yeah.
Grant Bricks is projected to Oklahoma by an Oklahoma guy.
Yeah.
That's like me talking about Nebraska and you're going, gee, aren't you a homer? Yes.
Well, our Nebraska, I read up, our Nebraska guy said he called around to people he knew and says that guy's probably right. So
yeah,
now then again, this guy's been one of the quietest guys about his recruiting.
That's true.
So we'll see. Don't you remember last March we had a guy that went all, I can't remember if he was 24/7. I know he wasn't on 3, but he pushed all his chips in on Dylan Rayold in Nebraska early. So for what that's worth. Oh, there we go.
Fred Sacco comes in with thank you, Fred. Fred Sacco comes in with Nebraska 24, Northwestern 9, dry humps 0.
Yeah, this is Northwestern. It wasn't dry humps. That was the whole problem. Dry humps would have been less gross.
Okay. Lonnie Kittleman says Lacey. That's the running back.
Kewan Lacey. That's what I was about to say. Yeah. Right now, I'm not considering him 100% gone, but when he's up there going, "Hey, thrilled to get an offer from Florida," I pretty much consider that. What's the phrase? I have reopened my recruiting.
And then we're going to end with this. Murph Dog Brewing Company says, tell us the mental ward story. That is a long story, and I'm not going to tell it because we're already past our hour. It's a fairly long story, and it's probably good for off-season stuff. I have a lot of stories in my life. I've done a lot of things. So, thanks for not forgetting. This stuff comes up. Like the Young Guns thing is going to come up until we actually do it, which I know that's how it works.
Hey, you save that. You save that one for later, and I'll save my Oklahoma road trip story from 1987 or 88, where I woke up in the morning sleeping on top of our car in the Oklahoma athletic director's spot.
And I lied because this thing came up. Jason Reeves says, now, y'all, let's not kink shame other schools for their training practices. Navy vet here. I'm going to just leave that alone. Since I know some Navy vets, and y'all did some weird shit on those ships out there crossing the equator and shit like that. Lloyd Christmas says, love you guys. Well, thank you, Lloyd. That's very nice.
Love you, Lloyd. Love the name.
Husker Chuck says, Young Gun sounds like off-season material. It does. Okay.
I agree with that.
That's it. That's the last comment, the actual real last comment. Thank you all for showing up. Thank you for your support. Go get some merch. Send me money. Super chats or get a membership so I can pay people more than just cat turds. because quite frankly, my cat is getting exhausted.
And you owe me cat turds now.
Yeah. All right. Good night, Andy.
Good night, John.